Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Wednesday show. Hello, everybody. Started to sing and then I stopped. How's everyone doing? You guys doing good? Hopefully everyone's doing good out there. We're going to wait a few seconds here, / minutes, maybe minutes, for people to get on here and say hello. There we go. People are coming on. Hiya. Hey there. Hi there. Ho there. You're as welcome as can be. MICKEYMOUSC. Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse. Forever let us hold our banner high. Hi, hi, hi. Hola. Hello, hello. How's everyone doing? You guys doing good out there? Hopefully everyone's doing good out there. We are going to be playing a game tonight. One of my favorite games. Hello, Sloan. Today we're going to be playing one of my favorite games that we play here on the Wednesday show on occasion. It's been a while. It's been probably 2 or 3 months since we played last time, so we're going to play it again today. If you guys have never played before, hopefully, I think it's fun. I don't know if everyone else thinks it's fun, but I think it's fun. So my mentality is the main target audience here, apparently, for the show. So essentially what we're going to be doing is you guys are going to be throwing out different Disney topics. I'm going to have to connect them. It's called Connect the Dots. Disney Connect the Dots. We've been playing it probably on and off. We'll play it on occasion about 2 or 3 times a year. And we've been playing it for about 5 years now, 4 or 5 years. But I've always loved it just because I like the challenge of trying to connect different random things together and make it fun. There we go. People are responding. Donald Duck. I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. My parents came in town today, so I was just with them, had dinner with them, and then came back over here to talk to all of you lovely people. So let's get this party started. We're going to start the 651st episode of the Wednesday show in 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 651st episode of the Wednesday show. Today is February 9th, 2022, and I'm your host, as always, Brent Dodge. Hello. Today we're going to be playing a game called Disney Connect the Dots, where we connect the dots about anything Disney. It's that simple. We'll go through the rules in just a few minutes here, but before we get to that, let's talk about our news for the week. First off, thank you everyone who's been joining us for our Saturday in the Park. If you don't already know, every single Saturday right here on this channel, we do a live broadcast from someplace found throughout the Walt Disney World Resort. Last week, we were over at Star Wars Launch Bay. You never know where we're going to be coming up on this coming up Saturday. So make sure you join us every single Saturday right here on the From Screen to Theme Facebook page if you're watching on there. YouTube will try to do a broadcast for you guys at some point or another too. But every single Saturday on the From Screen to Theme Facebook page at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we do a broadcast, so make sure to join us every single Saturday. If you guys have not been following me over on Instagram, then you may have missed our big news. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you, because we have now hit 100,000 views on YouTube in 6 months, which is insane. That is like a huge, to put into perspective, it took 12 years for us to get 272,000 views. So to get almost half of those views, or about a third of those views in 6 months, is pretty darn amazing. So thank you everyone out there who has been watching our YouTube videos. If you did not know, every single day, not like every Saturday, not every Wednesday, this is literally every single day, we do release a brand new episode over on my YouTube channel. So make sure you are checking those out. Most of them are only about a minute or two long, and they deal with different fun finds around the park. So if you guys are looking for something to do that's going to take 2 minutes and you want to learn something about Disney, make sure you go check out our daily Disney videos every single day. And also, as always, make sure you guys are giving it a like, comment, and all the other fun stuff. And do that on this video too. Make sure you like, and if you've not subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe over on YouTube as well. We are slowly building up that channel, and we want to keep on reaching our goals. Our goal for the end of the year is 5,000 subscribers and hit our 1 millionth view. So we are getting there slowly but surely, and every single day we're actually increasing. So thank you everyone out there who has been joining us every single day on our YouTube channel. And of course, as always, today's show is sponsored by It's All About the Mouse Travel. Make sure you stop by it'sallaboutthemousetravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely, positively, 100%ly free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. Okay, so today we're going to be playing a game. If you guys have never joined the game before, this is did the dinner with my parents. No, it was Panera. I haven't eaten Panera in years. But yes. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be playing a game that is called Connect the Dots. Now, if you guys have never joined us for Connect the Dots in the past, what we're going to be doing is you guys are going to be throwing out different Disney things. So it can be things like, for instance, one time someone said Space Mountain and someone else said Mary Poppins, and we had to go through and connect how they go through and connect to one another. It's kind of like what is it called? 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, where you can connect Kevin Bacon to anyone in the world by 7 degrees. It's kind of the same thing, but where we don't have like a limit of how many things it takes to connect, but eventually we have to connect one item to the other item. So throw your favorite Disney things out there into the comments. It can be rides, it can be attractions, it can be characters, it can be movies, it can be Broadway shows, it can be Disney Cruise Line ships, it can be anything and everything Disney, and we will have to do our best to connect them. In addition to that, before we start the game up, and actually while I'm talking here, feel free to start throwing your things in the comments below. We are going to be going in order of when people send them in. But as always, if you guys want to, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be going through and continuing our addition of subscribers. So as always, tonight's show will go until 10:30. However, if we get new subscribers, we will continue going a little bit longer. As you can see here, we are currently at 1,378 subscribers. So make sure you start sending people over while we're doing the show, and then we get a bonus long episode. Hey. Okay, so let's get this party started. We've got some great ones coming in here, and we're going to start off with the very first one. Our first one that is up is Illuminations. Illuminations, we're going to have to eventually connect to Castaway Key, and then whatever the next thing on the list is, we're going to have to connect that too. Okay, so let's get this party started. Illuminations. Now, Illuminations originally started up, and by the way, we're just going to, if you guys have never joined us for this, everything I'm going to be telling you is like factual. It's you guys are going to be learning a lot today, but we're also going to be going through a lot of different things. Illuminations went through several different things throughout the years. A lot of people think of the last Illuminations, but Illuminations actually was a fireworks show starting back in 1990. Now, eventually, it would come to Illuminations Reflections of Earth. Illuminations Reflections of Earth had 20 different torches that were around the area. These 20 different torches represented the 20th century. Each one was a different century until finally the globe would open up, and there in the middle, we go on through the night. I forgot the lyrics for a second there. Anyways, we had Illuminations there. Now, Illuminations was one of 2 fireworks shows that were being prepared in the late 1900s. The other one that was actually being prepared in the late 1900s, or not the 1900s, the late 1990s, was none other than the fireworks for the Disney Magic and the Disney Wonder, the 2 Disney cruise ships. Now, prior to this, we had, no cruises. We had the Big Red Boat, which was a cruise line that was not associated with Disney, but the Big Red Boat would actually have it so they could do different cruises starring the different Disney characters like Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Goofy, Pluto, and a few other special surprises along the way. But that was the only Disney touch that they actually had. There was not actually a Disney thing. Now, when they created the Disney Magic back in 1998, or when it first set sail in 1998, one of the things that they wanted to do was they wanted to have it so they could do fireworks at sea. So they got special permission from the Coast Guard to actually put fireworks out at sea. So they started to do fireworks on the Disney Magic in 1998, and then the next year when the Disney Wonder opened up in 1999. Now, this was not the only thing that Disney had a first of. The other first thing that they had was, that's right, they had their own private island, which was none other than Castaway Key. Now, Castaway Key was, yeah, we made it. Castaway Key was the island that is still around to this day, where all 4 cruise ships and pretty soon 5 cruise ships will make dock at one time during not all the cruises, but a lot of the cruises. The 5 cruise ships that we actually do have are the Magic, the Wonder, which we already talked about, the Dream, the Fantasy, and pretty soon we're also going to have the Wish. Now, the different cruise ships that we actually have, there are several different shows that you can find in each one. Now, one of my favorite ones is on the Disney Fantasy. Now, at the Disney Fantasy, when you are actually at Animator's Palette, one of the restaurants that is found there, you get to put your hand-drawn animation into a show. So you get to draw a character when you first get into the show. That character actually goes up on the stage and it starts to interact with different characters. Now, while it's going up and interacting with different characters, it interacts with so many different characters that we have. Now, a lot of these are classic characters like Mickey, and Mickey's like dancing along with the gloves. And in addition to that, dancing with the gloves, we also have the Genie dancing with the gloves. Now, here is a really cool fun fact for you. Disney, I'm sorry, I was going to say Disney Genie, because a lot of people talk about Disney Genie, but we have Genie from Aladdin. Genie from Aladdin actually was a massive hit back in 1992 when the film first debuted, so much so that Genie was added to the show Spectro Magic on this magic night. Okay, so during the parade Spectro Magic, which was taking place over at the Magic Kingdom, he was the conductor for the band during one of the segments. Great role. However, he was not the first conductor. Before he was the conductor, it was none other, that's right, than Roger Rabbit. Roger Rabbit, of course, from the 1988 film Who Framed Roger Rabbit, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Oh, man. I just saw the next one. Candle Shoe. Okay. Okay. First off, if you guys are just joining us, we're playing Connect the Dots, so keep on throwing your ideas of different Disney things. The chat room, we have to connect them all. So right now what we're doing is we have to connect Roger Rabbit to Candle Shoe. This is going to be a tough one, but I think we can pull it off. So Roger Rabbit first debuted in the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Now, prior to Who Framed Roger Rabbit, they had a few different short cartoons that they were working on over at the Walt Disney World Studio, or I'm sorry, the Disney MGM Studios here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. How are we going to connect this? We're going to connect it. Mark my words, we will connect this one, but we have to think of how to connect it here. Okay, so we're just going to talk because, okay, so in one of the short cartoons, there was a short cartoon called Tummy Trouble. In Tummy Trouble, at one point, Roger Rabbit, along with Baby Herman, launch in a ship, or not a ship, but they launch in the air, and they actually go from California over to Florida, kind of showing that, you know, the animation is going from California over to Florida. Now, this cartoon actually debuted before the film, I was going to say Who Framed Roger Rabbit, but we're past that one already. It came out before the film Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Now, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids starred Rick Moranis as Wayne Selinsky, along with several other people. And it pretty much consisted of him shrinking down his children, and they got lost in their yard. Now, while they get lost in their yard, by the way, I'm not there yet. I'm working on a plan in my head, and I got like 3 more steps, and then but we're gonna get there. When he was working this film, can we get there? Can we get there? We can get there. I'm just trying to figure out how we're gonna get there. Okay, so in the film, they go through the backyard, and while they're going through the backyard, you've got Cork. Now, Cork can be found as a giant nose at the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids play area over at Disney's Hollywood Studios back when it actually was around. That was actually replaced by Star Wars Batuu over at Galaxy's Edge. Now, when you go to Galaxy's Edge, there are so many different things that you can find and do, and I thought I had a connection and I lost it. I got so excited there for a second. When we go through Galaxy's Edge, there's so many different tributes to the original Star Wars films, along with future Star Wars films and current Star Wars films and the TV shows as well. One of those connections is up on the top of the starship. There are 3 crates. One of them says 77, one of them says 80, and one of them says 82. Now, these 3 crates are actually nods to the years that the original trilogy came out in 1977, 1980, and 83 and 1983, when A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi came out. Now, when those How are we going to connect this? We're going to connect it. So right below that, and then a little to the left is the marketplace for it. Oh, I found it. And so when you go to the marketplace, inside the marketplace, you can find 3 small speeder bikes. And while you're at those 3 small speeder bikes, one of them has a thing that says LMA for Lights, Motors, Action. Lights, Motors, Action was also part of the spot where Galaxy's Edge currently sits. Now, Lights, Motors, Action starred several different characters, but one of the characters was actually none other than Herbie the Love Bug. Eventually became Lightning McQueen after Cars 2 came out, but let's focus on Herbie the Love Bug. Now, Herbie the Love Bug originally starred in A Love Bug back in 1969 and eventually went into Herbie Rides Again, Herbie Goes Bananas, Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo, and of course Herbie Fully Loaded starring Lindsay Lohan. Now, Lindsay Lohan had kind of a track record of doing multiple different films about Disney films that had been created in the past, and now she was doing replicas of them. One of them being Herbie Fully Loaded, another one being The Parent Trap, which was her first one, and then, of course, Freaky Friday. Now, the original Freaky Friday actually starred Jodie Foster, and Jodie Foster, this was not actually her first film with Disney. Her first film was none other than Candle Shoe. Thank you. It took a while, but we connected Roger Rabbit with Candle Shoe. Whew, okay. And now we have to connect that to the Expedition Everest 5K. No problem. No problem at all. Okay. So if you've ever watched Candle Shoe, one of the parts of Candle Shoe is the song Greensleeves. She's in. It's our ticket to Candle Shoe. That's what we know it as. It's our ticket to Candle Shoe. Fun fact, for years, I actually thought that song was created specifically for Candle Shoe until years later when I found out it was just a very popular song, and I just grew up with Candle Shoe. So Greensleeves, that's not the only time that you can actually hear Greensleeves in a Disney item. The other one is actually over at the UK Pavilion over at Epcot. While you're walking around, you can hear several different songs, one of them being Greensleeves. Now, while you're over at, what am I connecting this to? Okay. I'm connecting to the Expedition Everest 5K. So while you're walking around the UK Pavilion, you can hear several different songs. And one of my favorite parts about, I can't do that. That's just like a really cheap way to get there. So we're not do the cheap way. We're gonna try to go the tougher way. Can we go the tougher way? Yeah, let's try the tougher way, right? I'm assuming you guys want the tougher way because you guys like to see me like sweat. Because I can make this in 2 moves right now if I wanted to. Let me know in the comments. Now, I don't get a red card for that one. I got there. I connected the one and the other one. It works. Okay, so anyways, so we're going to do this the easy way. So when you are running around, no, we're not going to do the easy way. I don't feel comfortable doing the easy way. So let's do, we got the hard way, and it's going to be a great way. Okay, so when you are walking through the UK Pavilion, listen to Greensleeves, you can find 2 red telephone booths because red telephone booths are just an iconic part of the UK culture, or a lot of people just associate red telephone booths with going to London. So this is actually not the only place inside of Epcot where you can actually find red telephone booths. The other place you can actually find them is at the Canada Pavilion because Canada is actually associated with the UK. So if you go up there, you can see the red telephone booths at the top of the thing near the mountains. Now, the very interesting thing that we can talk about with these mountains is the mountains here are supposed to represent the Rocky Mountains in the Canada version. And when Imagineers were going through creating different mountain structures throughout the years, this was considered like the second major roadblock getting to where they actually eventually ended up with rock structures with Disney parks and Imagineering. Now, prior to this, we had a few different mountains. We had the Matterhorn, which came out over in Disneyland back in 1959. We had things like Space Mountain, which came out here in 1975, but not really like rock structure. So we're going to disregard that. And then a few years later, over at Disneyland, we had Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, which eventually made its way over here as well, just like 2 years later. Now, when Big Thunder Mountain Railroad came out here, they decided that what they wanted to do was they wanted to increase the rock work a little bit more to make it more realistic for future projects. So they created a more realistic rock work on Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, and that was actually increased when they created the Canada Pavilion over at Epcot. Now, the next stage of creating more realistic mountains was actually done a few years later when they created Splash Mountain. And then the next spot after that was in 2005 when they created Expedition Everest. Expedition Everest would eventually get its own race called the Expedition Everest Challenge, which debuted back in 2008. And then it ran for about 7 years until eventually stopped. And now it is going to be coming back later on this year. That takes us to the Expedition Everest Challenge, 5K, and now we have to go over to Willie the Giant. We can get to Willie the Giant, I think, fairly easily. Probably, hopefully, fairly easily. So while you're going through and doing the Expedition Everest 5K, afterwards, in the past, they've had a post-race party. Now, these post-race party are... I'm going to take a drink of water because I feel like I'm talking extremely fast. I'll also keep on throwing things into the chat room on different Disney items that you want to have connected, because we are going to continue connecting as many things as possible for the next 40 minutes. We go. So after the Expedition Everest 5K, there's usually a post-race party. We don't know if this is going to be happening again when this comes back later on this year, but that's besides the point. So the post-race party used to consist of a few different attractions. There was Kelly River Rapids, Expedition Everest, obviously, and of course the attraction Dinosaur, and then they used to do Primeval Whirl and Triceratops Spin too. But that's besides the point. Let's talk a little bit about Triceratops Spin. Now, Triceratops Spin is a typical carnival attraction that was originally popularized at the Disney parks back in the 1950s with Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Dumbo the Flying Elephant eventually would make its way over to the Magic Kingdom in 1971 as an opening day attraction. When it would open up, originally it was in the main portion of Fantasyland. So you would actually see the carousel, and behind the carousel, you would see Dumbo the Flying Elephant. Now, originally when the park opened up, there were several different attractions and shops that are not around today. So let's kind of take a look at Fantasyland as a whole when it opened up in 1971. First off, you have things like It's a Small World, Peter Pan's Flight. There was the Mickey Mouse Revue, where Mickey's PhilharMagic is now. Cinderella's Golden Carousel, now Prince Charming's Regal Carousel. Snow White's Scary Adventure, now Princess Fairy Tale Hall. Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, now The Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh. And then, of course, you would have different attractions, different shops as well, including things like Merlin's Shop. Merlin's Shop actually still has a reference to this day. If you go over to Sir Mickey's Shop in Fantasyland, there is one of the windows, and it actually has it so you can see Archimedes' cage, Archimedes being the bird of Merlin. In addition to that, you can also find different chalkwork and things that say like Higgidus Figgidus, Megnosum, different things that are paying tribute to Merlin, along with the film The Sword in the Stone. If you go into the shop and walking around, though, you can find different references to two different classic Mickey cartoons. One of them is from Fun and Fancy Free, which is Mickey and the Beanstalk. The other one is from the cartoon The Brave Little Tailor. But let's disregard the Brave Little Tailor for a second and talk a little bit about Mickey and the Beanstalk. When you look outside of the shop, you can actually find the Beanstalk there. And then if you go inside, you can actually find, if you remember at the end of Fun and Fancy Free, Willie the Giant's actually like lifting up the houses, like looking inside, trying to find Mickey. You can find none other than Willie the Giant lifting up the thing and looking inside of the shop. Bam! That takes us to Willie the Giant. Oh, yeah. We're taking Willie the Giant and we're going over to the Hitchhiking Ghost. So let's do this thing. Now, Willie the Giant. Ooh. We're gonna do this one in a really easy, really quick one, but I don't think a lot of people are gonna be thinking about it this way. Willie the Giant made his debut in Fun and Fancy Free. Also, Jimmy Cricket was in there. Obviously, Mickey was there, Donald, Goofy, etc., etc., etc. However, Willie the Giant did not just stop his career there. He actually made appearances in a few different short cartoons, and then eventually he made another debut, or not a debut, he made another appearance in a cartoon back in the 1980s known as Mickey's Christmas Carol. Mickey's Christmas Carol had Uncle Scrooge, or Scrooge McDuck, playing the role of Ebenezer Scrooge, and of course in the film he was visited by three different ghosts, One of them was the Ghost of Christmas Past, which was Jiminy Cricket in this film. One was the Ghost of Christmas Future, which was Pete in the film. And the third one was Ghost of Christmas Present, which was Willie the Giant. Now, just like the three ghosts there, we have also had several different instances of three ghosts throughout Disney history. Our most famous one is probably the hitchhiking ghost over at the Magic Kingdom or Disneyland, depending on what you want to do, dealing with the Haunted Mansion. Yay. All right, we got to connect the hitchhiking ghost to Rizzo the Rat. If you would have said Rizzo the Rat right after Willie the Giant, easiest connection in the world, because I could have connected the Christmas Carol, Muppet Christmas Carol, along with my favorite Rizzo line before we get into this one here, is during the Christmas Carol when Gonzo's like lighting the light and he gets his tail on fire. He's like, light the light. I'm sorry, light the lamp, not the rat. Light the lamp. Light the lamp. Ah! Best Rizzo line ever. Anyways, we're starting off with the hitchhiking ghost because we have to start with the hitchhiking ghost to get to Rizzo the Rat. Naturally, that's just what most people do. Okay. So, we could do it that way. That's a really easy way to do it. I don't like doing the easy way. We want a hard way. We could do it the easy way. The easy way is literally saying, oh, it's in Liberty Square, and then we also had the great moments in history with Muppets, but we're not going to do it that way. We're gonna go a more difficult route because I guess I want to punish myself. So the hitchhiking ghosts named Gus, Phineas, and Ezra are the three hitchhiking ghosts at the end of the film. Oh, or we could even say Muppet Haunted Mansion. Oh, that would be a really easy one too. Let's now throughout the Haunted Mansion. So we're not going to take the easy way. We're gonna go a more difficult way. Because I want to get to Hollywood Studios somehow from this to the other. So we're going to do this. I just have to figure out how we're going to do this. I think I kind of have a path. So if you've ever gone on the Haunted Mansion, you have Phineas, Gus, and Ezra are the names of the three hitchhiking ghosts. Those names were actually not given by the Imagineers. Actually, when you go through the attraction, there's only two ghosts that were actually given their names by the Imagineers. One of them was Madame Leota, because she's a star, and we actually we see her name on the tombstone, and we associate it with her because her face is on the tombstone as well. And the other one is Flitwick, who is hanging from the chandelier above. Now, hanging around the ballroom scene, you can find several different ghosts, including Ghost of Cleopatra, King Arthur, Mark Antony, so many different famous faces down there. But those are not the only famous faces that we can actually see. Because if you go into the previous room, there is maybe not famous faces, but there's a reference to something that most people just go by and just completely ignore. So while you're going through the seance room with Madame Leo in the middle, there is a book that's in front of her. That book is opened up to page 1313. True story. On the one side of the book, it is a picture of the devil. On the other side, it has things like spiders and serpents and spiders, tail of a rat, call in the spirits wherever you're at. The different things that Madame Leto is actually saying in the room. If you look at the very top line, though, and it's very difficult to see unless the lights come on because you're being evacuated. That's like the only time that you can actually see it. But anyways, so if you look at the top line has it. So it's it's like Una Klang Krom. It's all in Latin. It's very difficult to pronounce unless your name is Dean Jones. So the line that's actually here is actually a reference to the film Blackbeard's Ghost. Blackbeard's Ghost came out in the 1960s, starring Dean Jones. In the film, he summons Blackbeard's ghost and has Blackbeard help them win a track meet. Naturally, it's just like the most basic plot line of any film that you could ever imagine. How are we going to go through this? We're going to get through this. We're just trying to figure out how to get through this. So in the film, we have Dean Jones, who he would eventually go into like the Herbie the Love Bug series, but we're not going to take the easy way through this. We're going to take the more difficult way because that's what we're doing. Also in the film, we have Susan Plachette. Susan Plachette also starred in several different Disney films, including things like The Ugly Dachshund And what's the movie? There's a movie, and I'm drawing the biggest blank right now, and it's the connection that I actually thought of. Oh my gosh, are we gonna have to take a different route than where we were going? We have the Ugly Dachshund, and I should have just said Muppet Haunted Mansion. I should have just said Muppet Haunted Mansion. Can we backtrack? Can we backtrack or no? I guess not. You just got to keep on talking. I got to keep on talking because otherwise I lose. That was the rule from our very first episode. It was, Brent, if you don't keep on talking through this thing, then you don't get out. Susan Pleshette, what was the other movie that she was in? I'm drawing the biggest blank on it right now. So let's just go back to, she was also in Blackbird's Ghost, which we already talked about. Now in Blackbird's Ghost, like I said, Dean Jones comes in. He's the new track coach of the town Godolphin, Godolphin College. This is not the first time that we ever see a college town in a Disney film. One of the most famous ones is probably Medfield College. Medfield College appeared in The Shaggy Dog and several different things like that. Now, while you were actually waiting in line for Muppet Vision 3D, you can find several different posters for different Disney films. One of them being The Shaggy Dog, but a variation of it as a play on words. In addition to that, we have things like there's a Herbie the Love Bug one. There's a High School Musical, or it's called High School Mayhem with the Electric Mayhem there. There's several different posters that are there. Right across from Muppet Vision 3D is Pizza Rizzo, and Pizza Rizzo actually is owned by Rizzo the Rat. I should have just said Muppet Treasure Island or Muppet Haunted Mansion. Oh, yeah, we're connecting Rizzo the Rat to Hall of Presidents. What are you guys doing to me? You guys are look, it's like Liberty Square, Muppets, Liberty Square, Muppets. You guys are killing me right now. All right, we're connecting Rizzo the Rat to Hall of Presidents, and then we're going back to the Muppets. Well, we can do this. Oh wait, so Rizzo the Rat is the sidekick of Gonzo. Now, fun fact for you guys, if you guys don't really know, Gonzo and Rizzo the Rat never really teamed up in any film until we eventually had the Muppet Christmas Carol. Before that, it was just kind of Gonzo by himself, and Rizzo would eventually make some appearances, but he didn't really have a true starring role. Like if you watch Muppets Take Manhattan, which is the film before that, he was in it, but he didn't really have a starring role in it. They didn't know about the chemistry until eventually we had the other. So before that, Gonzo was just kind of on his own, but he was kind of like one of the sidekicks to Kermit the Frog. So we had Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear, and Gonzo as like our three main characters. So it was kind of like the Mickey, Donald, and Goofy of Disney. However, it was Fozzie along with the other two. Now, in addition to those three, we also had Miss Piggy as one of our main stars. And Miss Piggy was around since the start of the Muppet Show, but she didn't really have that star power until a few seasons into it when she started to become more of a love interest to Kermit the Frog. The four of them, along with Gonzo and his lovely chickens and Sam the Eagle, would eventually star in Liberty Square doing different things about great moments in history. They would tell the story of Paul Revere, and they would also tell the story of the founding of America. And when they were telling these, they were actually above none other than the Hall of Presidents. Whew, we got there. Now, the Hall of Presidents has gone through so many different changes throughout the years because every 4 to 8 years, we get a brand new president. And every time that we get a brand new president, we do get a complete new show dealing with the presidents of Hall of Presidents. So a few years ago, when Donald Trump became president, they redid it. So it was dedicated to the life and history of Walt Disney. If you would go inside of the theater, and this is actually the same pre-show, it's pretty much the same show now, ever since Joe Biden became elected, both of them were actually dedicated to the life and passion of Walt Disney. Now, if you go into the main lobby here, you can actually find a statue of Walt Disney's head, the bust of his head. And then you can also find a picture of Walt Disney next to Abraham Lincoln. This is kind of showing the true patronage that Walt Disney had and his love of Abraham Lincoln. We've heard about his love of Abraham Lincoln several times throughout the years, including over at the One Man Stream or Walt Disney Presents. While you're going through there, it talks about how Walt Disney actually, as a child, used to go through and dress up as Abraham Lincoln and go through the Gettysburg Address every single year for his classmates because he loved Abraham Lincoln that much. Eventually, obviously, you would have things like Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, which would open up at the 1964 World's Fair and then eventually make its way over to Disneyland. But that's not where we're going. We're not going that way. But I just left One Man's Dream. Now we're at Disneyland. So we got to take a different tour than I thought. So when Walt Disney was doing Disneyland, up until his last days, he started to have ideas of a bigger and better place. Maybe not better, but a bigger place. I find it better, but some people don't. So that's why I'm retracting the better statement, even though I like Walt Disney World better than Disneyland. Although I do personally absolutely love Disneyland as well. However, that's not what we're talking about right now. What we're talking about is the idea of Walt Disney wanting to build a bigger place than Disneyland because he needed the blessing of size. So he came up with the Florida Project idea. When he came up with the Florida Project idea, one of the things that he wanted to do was have a Magic Kingdom, a theme park that was kind of similar to Disneyland at the northern part of the property. In addition to that, he wanted to have an actual working city known as Epcot. The first time he says it, it's the experimental prototype city of tomorrow, and then he switches it to community of tomorrow. When he came up with the idea of Epcot, it was going to be an actual working, functional city where there's going to be skyscrapers and different things like that. You can actually find the half of the model of it over on the People Mover here at the Magic Kingdom. But that's not where we're going to go. We're still talking about Epcot right now. So when you would go there, it would be that. However, after Walt Disney passed away, the company wasn't really sure how to go forward with his plans of Epcot because they had an idea of what he wanted to do, but they weren't positive on how to actually pull it off. Roy Disney, Walt Disney's brother, said, hey, you know what we should do is we should actually have it so we go forward with this idea of doing the Florida Project. Let's first start off with the big three places. We're going to start with Magic Kingdom, the Contemporary Resort, along with the Polynesian Resort, and then eventually maybe we can try to do the city that Walt wanted to build. As time would go on, they realized that they didn't really have the exact same ambition of a city that Walt Disney had, and they didn't really have the resources to pull together that Walt Disney wanted to use. So they decided the best thing to do was to create a theme park based around the idea of Epcot. So they created Epcot with Spaceship Earth being the park's icon. Now, throughout the years, Spaceship Earth has been home to several different things, including things like projections of Mike Wazowski a few years ago, projections of the Death Star, and even the most recent is a rainbow that is added to it for Festival of the Arts. And while the rainbow comes on, we hear none other than the Rainbow Connection from the Muppets. And now we have to connect that to Cad Bane. Oh, God. All right. We're going from like the happiest thing in the world, the Rainbow Connection, to Cad Bane from Star Wars. All right. So Rainbow Connection was originally performed by Kermit the Frog back in the Muppet movie, the original Muppet movie. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Boom, ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. Why are there so many? Anyways, okay, you know the song. When Kermit actually started off the film and the Muppet movie, he actually started off in none other than Florida, ironically enough. When he started off in Florida, he finally realized that he had dreams of going to Hollywood. He didn't really have them. He met a travel agent that was going through a swamp. There was an alligator there, and this travel agent, or not the travel agent, agent for movies and stars said, hey, you should come out to Hollywood. And so Kermit decides that he's going to go off to Hollywood. When Kermit goes off to Hollywood, along the way, he meets all the different people that we've talked about earlier, Fozzie and Gonzo, Miss Piggy, etc., until he eventually makes his way to Hollywood itself. And when he gets to Hollywood itself, he creates his first film, the Muppet movie. At the end of the film, or at the start of the film, Robin, his nephew, says, is this the true story of how the Muppets were created? And he's like, oh, it kind of is. At the end of the film, we have Sweetums break through the wall, and that's kind of how the entire thing ends. Now, Sweetums is actually one of the few characters, or actually the only Muppet, who appears in actual Muppet form during Muppet Vision 3D. We also have four animatronics, one of the Swedish Chef behind you, one of Bean Bunny, and then one of Statler and Waldorf up in the top. When they had these different animatronics there, they decided to have it so they paid tribute to the actual contributions that the Muppets would have throughout the years, with the Swedish Chef being in the back saying, oh, the flame is going, the flame flew me. Now, originally when they had it, so the chef would say that if you would go out back behind Muppet Vision, you would actually find none other than a sign up there that said the Swedish Chef's Kitchen / projector room. This would eventually make its way out of the storyline, mainly due to the fact that they had to create a brand new space for Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. Now, when they created Star Wars Galaxy's Edge, they wanted to bring a bunch of different elements of this Star Wars universe to it, and they had things like we talked about earlier from the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and some of the television series. Now, while you go through the land, you can find several different elements of different things paying tribute to different characters, including Boba Fett. Now, if you have seen Boba Fett at all, Boba Fett is actually one of the bounty hunters in the Star Wars universe. There's a movie or a TV show about him right now. But Boba Fett originally debuted back in the actually in the holiday special, and then he eventually made his way to the Empire Strikes Back. And he was one of several different bounty hunters found throughout the series. In addition to that, we also had characters like Cad Bane. Now, Cad Bane is we're going to Body Wars. I like that one. Oh, that's okay. So Cad Bane is voiced by Corey Burton. Now, Corey Burton is the voice of several different Disney characters throughout the years, along with several different famous Star Wars characters, including one of them is none other than Professor Ludwig von Drake. Now, Professor Ludwig von Drake, he's not the original voice of Professor Ludwig von Drake, but he is the current voice of Professor Ludwig von Drake. Side note, while we're going through here, if you guys are just joining us, because I just saw a bunch of people came on, we are doing a game called Disney Connect the Dots. You guys are throwing things into the chat room. We have to try to connect them to one another while also giving tons of different Disney fun facts. If you guys continue to subscribe on my YouTube channel, we will get a longer show, so we'll continue going through more and more of these fun facts. Otherwise, we will be ending in 20 minutes. I've not checked the thing for a long time, but we're going to get there later on. Okay, back to Professor Ludwig von Drake. Professor Ludwig von Drake went through and he had several different storylines throughout the years, but usually he was used as an educational person. Now, one of my favorite parts about Professor Ludwig von Drake, he's right up here, letters and numbers. Anyways, he is right there. I've got a pin of him that's holding up the Wednesday show poster. This was created by my friend Gary. That's a complete side note, but this was created by my friend Gary. Professor Ludwig von Drake, in one of the short cartoons, he actually creates a time machine, and Goofy goes back in time, and they have to try to change the entire course of history. Now, when they go back and try to change it, Goofy has it so he changes everyone in the world to Goofy himself. Now, this is kind of a reference, or it's not a reference, but it kind of pays tribute to just the way that Goofy was. Now, let's talk a little bit about Goofy's history, because we have to talk about Goofy's history in order to get eventually to Body Wars. Now, back in the 1930s, Goofy had a voice that was provided by one of the animators on the studio. He had a falling out with Walt Disney in the 1940s, and he left the studio. Now, Goofy had already become a household name at that point. Everyone loved him. However, no one was able to perfect his laugh and his voice like the animator who left. So that caused the Disney studio to try to figure out how on earth can we continue to create these different Goofy cartoons without using his voice. And the answer came, of all places, the idea of creating how-to shorts. So we started to have different cartoons like how to play football, how to start your own home entertainment system. That's one of the newer ones that came out before National Treasure. And how to drive a car, how to be a modern man, several different things throughout the years. In addition to that, this was actually one of the founding factors for how to create a short cartoon that would be played over at the Wonders of Light Pavilion called The Making of Me, a short cartoon pretty much explaining where people come from. In addition to the Wonders of Light Pavilion, we didn't just have The Making of Me, but we also had Crane Command, an amazing show that I've talked about several times before on the show as being one of my favorite Epcot attractions of all time. And then we also had an attraction called Body Wars. Now, we're connecting this to Duffy. Now, Body Wars, let me take a drink here. All right, now Body Wars started off as it was a simulator attraction that would actually take you into the human body You're going through, you'd be shooting different white blood cells and red blood cells. It was a weird attraction, but actually a lot of fun too at the same time. When this would close down, they actually started doing test runs for Star Tours 2, The Adventures Continue, at this location because they still had the building there. They still had the ride simulators there. So when they were creating Star Tours, the second one, they kept the Star Tours over at one spot, and they had Star Tours 2 there doing test runs while they perfected the technology to be placed over at Disney's Hollywood Studios. So Star Tours would eventually open up as the new attraction back in 2011. What am I connecting this to? Duffy. Okay. Now, while guests exit out of Star Tours, they would actually enter into Tatooine Traders. Tatooine Traders was one of the gift shops there. Now, gift shops are a thing that's been around at Disney for years and years and years. We have several different gift shops that can be found, including the largest gift shop in the entire world, which is World of Disney over at Disney Springs. So at that point, it was called Downtown Disney. Now, when Downtown Disney first opened up as the Walt Disney Marketplace, there were a few buildings that were around that are still around to this day. The ones that are still around are places like the Marketplace Co-op. That is one of the original places. That's actually the original World of Disney shop. Ghirardelli Chocolate was originally Goofy's Kitchen, where you ate burgers and stuff. And then the Pin Store was another one. The Christmas shop was another one. And then the one that sat in the middle was not as big as it is today, but it was the location of Once Upon a Toy. Now, inside Once Upon a Toy, guests can find things like Mr. Potato Heads, but not anymore. They could find several different toys that were like Lincoln Logs, but not anymore. Several different toys that used to be around that are not there anymore. However, this was the location in 2004 of a brand new idea that Disney had to create a brand new friend for anyone who would come to Disney, because they wanted to have it so the characters, people would go through and get stuffed animals of Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, Goofy, Donald, blah, 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 blah. But they wanted to have it, so they created a brand new character, and they created someone called the Disney Bear. Now, the Disney Bear was a bear that had it so on his face it looked like a hidden Mickey with his eyes and his nose and his mouth. They also had it so there was paw prints on him that looked like Mickey shapes, along with on his feet as well. This character was known as the Disney Bear for years and years and years, about 7 years, until eventually he would come back in full force and become known as Duffy the Bear. Duffy the Bear would go on several different storylines with Walt Disney with Mickey Mouse, and he would go on giant steamliners. We're connecting this to the Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin. I actually have this one down right now. So they would have it so they would go on different things. The storyline of Duffy Bear was Mickey was going off on a steamliner. He wanted to have it so he would have safe travels with him, and Minnie Mouse decided to give him Duffy the Bear to keep company along on his journey. When he went around the island or around the world, he would eventually make his way to different places like California, China, Japan, Italy, France, etc., etc., etc. He went on a world tour. He was not the first Disney character to ever go on a steamliner from one side of the country to the other side of the country, however. The first one that ever did that, or the first one to my knowledge, was none other than Bullwhip Griffin. Now, Bullwhip Griffin was from a film called The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, where he was a butler in Boston who eventually would make his way over to the Gold Rush, trying to find his masters. And when he would go out there, he became the toughest man in the Old West, even though he really wasn't. We're connecting that to the Skyliner. Okay, we got this. So the Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, if you've never seen it, it stars Susan Plachette. Oh, I could have used Susan Plachette there too. We were talking about her earlier. It stars Rodney McDowall. Rodney McDowall would also star in things like That Darn Cat. That Darn Cat starred Haley Mills. It was actually Haley Mills' last film ever. Now, prior to this, Haley Mills had starred in several different films, like I want to say one of them because I see it on the list, the Moon Spinners, but that's not the one we're going to. Haley Mills would star in several different Disney films, including things like Pollyanna, which is her first one, Parent Trap, which we talked about earlier with Lindsay Lohan, That Darn Cat, Those Darn Callaways, and Summer Magic. Let's talk about Summer Magic because I feel like we don't talk about Summer Magic enough. Summer Magic is a film that I feel like is not very appreciative because most people don't even know what it is. However, there is a reference to Summer Magic that is found on Main Street, USA, over at the Magic Kingdom here at Walt Disney World. I gestured that way because that's where the park is. Anyways, when you would go through and go down Main Street, USA, the Emporium actually has it. So the proprietor there is Osh Popham. Osh Popham was the name of Burl Ives' character in the film. Now, when you're going down Main Street, USA, you can find several different elements or several different nods to several different Disney films. We have things like, now I'm just trying to big blank. We have things reference to Mary Poppins is above one of the things. Above one of the windows. We also have references to the Love Bug, which is on the same window. And when you start to go through and look at these different windows, you may wonder if there's any Disney characters written on these windows. There's not. There's no Disney characters that are found on the windows, mainly due to the fact that they didn't want to have it so those characters would be taken away, or the windows would be taken away from the people that they were actually tributing to these different things. I kind of wish there were names on the characters on the windows because I can make that an easy connection to the Skyliner, but that's not what we're gonna do. So when you go down Main Street, USA, and you exit the park, you can go over to the monorail. Now the monorail consists of 12 different colors. We've got things like yellow, orange, black, silver, pink and purple are discontinued, coral, blue, and more. And throughout the years, there have been some of the monorails have actually had different wrap designs around them. We've had things like Tron was wrapped around at one point as a tribute to the Tron film. We had Avengers were wrapped around at one point as a tribute to the Avengers. However, that could not actually go inside of Epcot. That had to stay on the Magic Kingdom loop, mainly due to the fact that Universal has a contract with Marvel characters being inside the parks. And if it went over Epcot, that would actually be breaking the contract. So they had to have it so it was always and only always on the Magic Kingdom monorail loop. Fun fact. Eventually, they would actually start doing these different wrap designs for different things like the buses. And then when they open up the Skyliner, they would have it so those would be wrapped as well. Now the Sky Mulligan. Is that Mulligan isn't like I get a mulligan. Although I feel like we did connect. We've been connecting, right? Hopefully we've been connecting enough. Moon spinners. Okay, let's go to moon spinners. So how are we gonna get to the moon spinners from here? Holy cow! I can only think of one way, and one way only. So let's do it. Now the Skyliner is filled with so many different wraps things around the We've got like Huey, Dewey, Louie, along with Donald Duck, Daisy, and Uncle Scrooge, my favorite one. We've got things like Mickey, Minnie, along with Pluto, and then of course we even have like random things like the Haunted Mansion has one, and even Pirates of the Caribbean has one. Now Pirates of the Caribbean, originally over in Disneyland, it was actually found over in New Orleans Square. While over at Magic Kingdom, it's found in Adventureland. So it's in two different lands. If you go over to like Disneyland Paris, it's in Adventureland over there as well. But it is one of those rare times where we have an attraction that is found in two completely different lands. However, if we go over to Adventureland here at Walt Disney World, most of Adventureland at opening day was kind of what it is today, but not completely the same. There's actually a few different opening day attractions. There's actually one opening day attraction that was found over at Disneyland and over at Walt Disney World at the same time, both of them being the Jungle Cruise. The Jungle Cruise was an opening day attraction in Disneyland. It was also an opening day attraction here. Now, also in addition to those ones at Magic Kingdom, we also had the Enchanted Tiki Room, or at that point it was called Tropical Serenade, which was a reproduction of the Enchanted Tiki Room, or Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room, found over in Adventureland. And then the other attraction that we had brought to Walt Disney World that was also originally over at Disneyland was the Swiss Family Treehouse. Now, the Swiss Family Treehouse is now Tarzan's Treehouse over in Adventureland, but let's just disregard that because now over here, it is known as the Swiss Family Treehouse. When the Swiss Family Treehouse first opened up, we had it so there was 3 people who got to be the first 3 guests on it. One of them was Walt Disney himself. Walt Disney went up in the treehouse and he took a tour with 2 people. 2 of the people were John Mills, who was the father in the film, along with Haley Mills, who his daughter starred in many different Disney films, including The Moon Spinners. The Moon Spinners. I'm drawing like the biggest blank on the Moons. It's been so long since I've seen the Moon Spinners. I just read about the Moon Spinners too because I've been reading Haley Mills' book. Great book, by the way. Let's talk about the book. So Haley Mills has a book out about her career as a child actress. I didn't think we were going to go down this route, but apparently we're going down this route because I kind of like this route. I don't know how we're going to get to the next one. The next one being Orange Bird, but we're going to get to the Orange Bird eventually. Before we continue, I'm not looking anything up. I'm looking up to see if our subscriber count went up at all. It did not. So if you guys want to have a continuation of this, if you want to have it so we keep on going, try to get some people into the to subscribe on YouTube. We are still at the 1,378 subscribers. If we can get up to 1,379 in the next 5 minutes, we'll go on for another 5 minutes. If we can get up to 1,380, we'll go until 10:40, and then we'll continue. We'll continue from there. So if we keep on getting subscribers, so we're going to keep on going for another 5 minutes, then we're going to check to see our thing. Okay, anyways, so Haley Mills has this book come out. It's called Forever Young. Forever Young, I want to be forever young. In the book, it goes through her entire story, her entire start to finish of acting as a child actor. And in the story, she talks about how she got the role as Pollyanna. It was this director was over at her place visiting her dad, and he saw her and he said, "Oh, this is like a natural born actor. Like we should have it so she becomes a star." So she actually came over to do Pollyanna. Now, Pollyanna has a reference actually over in Main Street, USA at the Magic Kingdom. If you go into the train station, there is a train board there. On the train board, you can find 2 different references to Pollyanna. One of them is the incoming trains is coming from Harrington Heights. Eric, I just got your message on my phone. That's not funny. Or Harrington Hills. Harrington Hills is a reference to the town, the Glad Town within Pollyanna. And the other one is Pendergast, which is the name of the old man found in the film. Now, if you look at the rest of the things there, we also have things like The Adventures of Bullwhip Griffin, which we talked about earlier. We have things like Kimball Canyon, which is a reference to Ward Kimball, who is an animator / Imagineer for Walt Disney. And then you also have several other different nods. We'll go through more of those in a future time. Or if you go watch some of my videos, we've got them over there as well. But let's talk a little bit about Ward Kimball, because Ward Kimball is the last thing we talked about. Ward Kimball worked on several different Disney animated films throughout the years, starting way back in 1937 with Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He would eventually go on to film or to animate for different films, including Peter Pan, Lady and the Tramp, Jungle Book, and so many others. If you actually go over to Storybook Circus, on one of the train cars, the clown train car, you can actually find a painting of 3 clowns. One of the clowns on there is Ward Kimball, along with 2 other members of a band that he was part of called the Firehouse 5+2, which was a band created for Disneyland that consisted mainly of, or not mainly, it was consisted just of different animators that worked at the studios that would also play instruments and go over to the thing. A few of these different animators would pick up different projects throughout the years, and some of the different projects that they had started in 1971 after they opened up Disney World. When they opened up Disney World, Disney was looking for different sponsors in the area, and one of them was the Citrus Groves. They wanted to have it so they could sponsor Disney, but in return, they wanted to have it so Disney would actually create a brand new cartoon character for them. The character that they actually created for them was none other than the Orange Bird. Now, the Orange Bird, from the Sunshine Tree, the Orange Bird has it so we have several different desserts that are associated with him, including the citrus swirl and the Dole Whip, which is right down the street from there. There are so many different good, nice, cold desserts that Disney has created throughout the years, but my personal favorite one is the No Way Jose. Yeah. All right, right now we are going to be ending with Gary's here, the Disneyland Hotel, unless we've reached that subscriber goal. So we're going from No Way Jose to the Disneyland Hotel. Okay, let's do this. We can get No Way Jose. Okay, so the No Way Jose can be found over at Beaches and Cream, over at the Yacht and Beach Club over at, well, Disney's Yacht and Beach Club. Now, when the Yacht and Beach Club first opened up, they had it so it was the first of two resorts, or I'm sorry, it was like a conjoined thing along with the boardwalk to have it so they would be going or having a connection to a back door of the park for Epcot. Now, prior to this, we had never had a back door entrance to a Disney park. Disneyland didn't have one, Magic Kingdom didn't have one, and Tokyo Disneyland didn't have one. However, after this happened, they did start to have a few more spots where they would have back entrances to different Disney parks. The next one that they would actually build would be the Disney's Grand Californian, which would open up in 2001. Oh, I'm drawing a blank on the year. I think it was 2001, 2005. I can't remember. 2002. When Disney California Adventure opened up it was February, like right around the 2001. Oh my gosh, I'm usually so good with dates, and I've actually been really good like rambling fun facts off the last few years or last few hours here. Okay, anyways, the Grand California would have a back entrance that would go into the other resort. Now, this would actually become the third, or it was like 3 resorts would actually be around at California at this point. We had the Grand California Paradise Pier Hotel, and then of course the original one, which actually was not originally owned by Disney, but eventually was purchased by Disney, which was the Disneyland Hotel. Okay, that might be the end. Let us see. Did we get any new subscribers here? We did not get any new subscribers. We're still at that 1,378. So that is going to be where we are going to end our hour-long ramblings of Disney and connecting the dots from one thing to another. Okay. Oh, there are animatronic penguins. I'm so far behind everyone on these comments here. Okay. So that is going to wrap up our thing. Unless anyone wants to become a Patreon pal in the next 2 minutes. Maybe we should have done that at the start too. If anyone wants to be a Patreon pal, we'll go a little bit longer too. But yeah, so that is going to wrap up that. As always, tonight's show is sponsored by It's All About the Miles Travel. Make sure you stop by itsallaboutthemilestravel.com for all of your Disney travel needs. All of their services are absolutely positively 100% free. So make sure you book with them for your next Disney vacation. I'd like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. I hope you guys enjoyed our hour-long ramble of connecting random Disney things. What did we start with? I don't even remember what we started with. We started with Illuminations, and we ended at the Disneyland Hotel. We did Illuminations, Castaway Cay, Roger Rabbit, Candle Shoe, Expedition Everest, Willie the Giant, Hitchhiking Ghost, to Rizzo the Rat, to Hall of Presents, to Rainbow Connection, to Cad Bane, to Body Wars, to Duffy the Bear, to the Adventures of Boba Griffin, to the Skyliner, to the Moon Spinners, to Orange Bird, to the No Way Jose, to Disneyland Hotel. That's not bad. That's not bad. We connected a lot of things over the last hour, and a lot of those things probably, it's kind of crazy that they're all connected. Everything's connected. Okay. As always, if you guys have not ordered your copies of A Closer Look Yet, make sure you go visit the Shop Now button to purchase your books today. If you guys want to be a Patreon pal and join us for like our preview shows for our daily Disney videos, vote on my pictures, all that other fun stuff, send me a private message. I will give you the link on how you can become Patreon pal for as low as $1. We always have a lot of fun doing that as well. So make sure you guys, if you guys are not a Patreon pal, consider becoming a Patreon pal. It's a lot of fun and actually does help keep this show along with my videos going. In addition to that, I would like to thank everyone out there for joining us once again this week. Remember that anything can happen if you let it. Until next time, have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Goodbye now. Goodbye. Are, are they gone? Are they gone? Oh, good. My cheeks are just killing me. I just can't stand this kind of